Hey guys, coming to you again. New tabletop, and just still trying out some different ideas. But this one I wanted to kind of touch on because I do have some different knife videos, but I've never really gone into any of the specifics of the blade styles that I've used or preferred. But this video's mainly going off of a question that was posted by the user Log Home, and the first half of his question was Tanto or drop point. And I sent two comments or posted two comments on there, and I just wanted to quickly go over it just so I have a video to just kind of reference it. But so trying to make this quick because most of my videos I really hate trying to go over a certain period of time, whether it be 5 or 10 minutes. But when it comes to the 06, both of them, as you can see, they both which this is the older design. This was the manual blade, but the newer 06 drop point, it still infers the same design. But so as you can see, they have this top bevel on both, and the real difference when it comes to the 06 versions is mainly the drop point. You just have a little bit more meat on the front of that, and basically that comes down to, again, Tanto blades were essentially created for tactical, whether it be insertions or backup blades, different aspects of that nature. Basically, meaning the Tanto is cut so that it comes to a very sharp tip, versus it has a sharp tip, but if you just basically compare it to a sheet of paper, as you insert it into the paper, that point takes over, and then you have a blade quickly widening. So you go from maybe a millimeter, centimeter, all the way to about an inch, and it'll increase the hole about an inch wide in about just an inch of insertion, and very little resistance all the way through. And then of course, if it keeps going, you get into your serrations. And then when it comes to the drop point, and granted this comparison is just basically stabbing or tactical applications, and when it comes to the drop point, it's going to be about as easy, but as soon as the tip enters the paper, you can feel that resistance because of that belly. So, and you can kind of see it kind of curves with the belly. So to give a quicker answer, you basically just past the tip with the drop point, the blade basically becomes a wall. So it slowly increases into the curve, whereas on the Tanto, once the tip is inserted, it rapidly increases in size. So instead of going from very small all the way to about an inch depth, the drop point, it's a very gradual increase. So an inch on this blade is about here. Inch is about right here, I would say, because it looks like it bellies out about here. So shorter period of time for more blade, because as you can see on the Tanto, the bottom, and this is going to be most Tantos, it's going to be flat, and then you're basically your secondary blade. Yes, it is all one blade, but when you sharpen, it even has that little the two bevels. So you have one blade here, and then this is essentially your other blade, and your drop point, it's all swoops in to one blade total. I know I'm chopping this up, but hopefully going back and forth between the two, you kind of get an idea of of the point that I'm trying to get at. When it comes to slicing bread, slicing meats, that belly, it really helps, because you can gradually increase your cuts, whereas if you were to use the blade of the Tanto, you start from your corner, or you would essentially, this would be the belly portion, and while you're cutting in, you have this tip that would be slicing in, basically dicing up tomatoes, dicing up fruit, so you don't really have that much control over what that tip essentially does while you're trying to slice. So between the two, Tanto, if you're military, law enforcement, it helps. If you needed a, like with the '06, you do have a glass breaker, but if you needed to, you could use that tip for getting into an area that you may need to pry. Seat belt, as long as you keep this area sharp, very quickly you can just insert it, pop the seat belt. And that's also why I choose serrations, because since I'm mainly drop point, if I don't have any time to make sure this is stropped and sharp, I just start down at the serrations and then work up from there. And I have yet to have any issues where I'm like, dang, why'd I choose serrations? I just wanted a blade all the way down. So other than that, let's see, I'm counting on about 7 minutes. So I hope this was somewhat informational for some people just trying to get an idea. And I don't know, tactical, self-defense, that's the things that come to mind when I look at a Tanto style blade. Drop point, field work, chopping trees, which I've done with this, cutting, steak, skinning deer, or skinning in general, just because of that belly. And no, I've not had any issues with the serrations while skinning. Cutting bread, making PB&Js for the kids. Heck, digging small holes. If you're shooting and you saw a bullet go in the ground and you wanted to pull that bullet out, boom, dig with it. Which of course, yeah, you can dig with a Tanto, but you're more apt to really damage the tip here. You have a little bit more meat on the end of this tip with your drop point. Anything and everything. Skinning or cutting fish up. If you're, the smaller fish, boom. I wouldn't really do it with this, just because, that tip. If you're trying to fillet a fish and you have that extra tip right there, is just slicing away, basically making mincemeat out of whatever you're cutting. So in the end, tactical and drop point, does everything. It's been used tactically. It's been used, it's been used everywhere. So other than that, like, comment, subscribe, if this is the kind of comment that you like. And thank you again to Log Home for throwing that comment out. And I was able to throw 2 comments in of my 2 cents, and I was still a little bit intrigued by it, so I wanted to go ahead and at least throw a video out, just so it's kind of out in the mix, because I do know that there are some other videos out there, Tanto or Drop Point. But hopefully the side-by-side and the overlapping, hopefully that aided some people. Another thing too, just since I'm already hitting 10 minutes, another thing that you will see a lot of the time is, let me just try and get this tip here. All right. Another thing you will usually see is, you come up here, kind of trace down, around. Sorry, should have kind of had this one pre-drawn. But all right, so there you go. So more or less, this is my gist of what I'm trying to get at. The Tanto, it essentially was made so that, like here would be the spine kind of going into the tip. It was basically made to lower the piercing tip. So this is about your standard, Bowie or outdoors style drop point where the tip is higher. So basically, when you come into a wall, let me just use my pen. When you come into a wall, you're basically, on most drop points, you automatically start hitting about this portion of the blade. You don't really even hit the tip. And so the Tanto, it essentially brings that tip down so that the first thing that hits is going to be that tip to increase, the potency of the blade. And, again, to increase the piercing ability of the blade. That, in my opinion, was the original reason of the Tanto creation. Was, people wanted a more tactical blade, and so, basically all it did was just bring that standard drop point tip down to where it was center with the user's hand. And because basically, when you're holding a knife, either way, the center, I call it center of gravity. It could be a whole different term, but basically, if that's the center of your hand, it lines up, just like my pen is, it lines up with the tip of that blade. So in any motion you're coming into, that tip is going to be the first thing that hits. So originally, that is my definition of why I believe the Tanto was originally created, was to bring that tip down and make it more ergonomic for a tactical style carry. So, all right, well, all right, 13 minutes. So hopefully this wasn't too long for most of y'all. With me just starting, I'm still kind of uncomfortable with long videos. But other than that, please, again, like, subscribe, shoot some comments down. Let me know what you're interested in. And more gun reviews, more gun videos coming out. I'm still kind of working through some of my knives, so I guess bear with me there. And, I love hearing from some of y'all. So other than that, y'all have a good one, and I will hopefully be shooting out another video soon. All right.